TV screen here. Okay, so on the Trello board, we have with Ignite, there's a column. Each of the classes and the subjects should be loaded there with a link to the class, and then embedded in each of those cards or tabs, we have a participant guide. So I've given it to those here in person. We've talked before about the way I prepare sets me up for success. So my recommendation is leading up to every class, which is on our calendar this week on the UHS site. You're going to be able to see what classes are coming up. Go beforehand. If you're not here in person and you're not getting a printout of our participant guide, download it, be following along during Zoom. Okay, it's going to help a lot. Okay, and let's see, a couple things. One more thing, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I know some people have asked, where am I going to do the number reporting? I did send out before the Connor. I did send out before the website. This is a website specific to UHS. So if you're unable to get into it, you may be using the wrong Gmail account to log in. If you have issues, just let me know and we'll get it worked out for you. Let me quickly go into this. So looking at our UHS site one more time, keep in mind, command is where we're going to upload our goals for the year, right? And we're going to set the intention around how many buyers to sellers, what is an average commission, and we're going to look throughout the year as I'm adding contacts and uploading appointments and opportunities and all those different areas. We're going to see where I am in relation to my annual goal. Now, I want to make sure this isn't something that you simply load once a year, and then at the end of the year, you look at it again and you see, okay, did I do it or did I not do it? We need to measure our performance along the way, okay? So on a monthly basis, you want to go into your monthly goal inputs. Make sure it's the same email that you use for UHS along all facets, okay? Make sure it's not an outside email. We're not going to be able to report numbers for you. And then I'm setting my intentions for the month. How many times am I going to script practice? Open houses I want to hold this month. What is within my plan, okay? I realize we've gone through this before, but just a quick recap. And then at the end of every week, once I'm done with lead generation, appointments, could be on a Sunday afternoon, whatever, I go in for my weekly input, and this is my week in review. I've gone through it a few times as far as the importance to do it, but just put me to the test, do it for a month, and let's have a conversation after a month if you're doing this consistently, what has changed in your business. I promise there's going to be a change. And I promise you're going to be going about doing the business differently. And then once you do that, you're going to be able to go into the scoreboard tracking. We do need a couple weeks of information you've put into the weekly review as well as your goals, and it's going to be able to tell you specifically where you are in relation to what areas, okay, and what you need to work on. Okay, now within the participant guide, you can also, I'm going to be referring to it a little bit. I'm also going to be referring to on KW Connect, where the Ignite live presentations are, which are the same links that I put on the Trello board. I'm going to be referring to that. In this particular class, I think it's the team leader of, a lot of them are out of Austin. I believe she's in one of the Austin market centers. And of course, Austin is our headquarters. So Keller Williams has a pretty big following there and a big presence. But she's one of the team leaders, and she walks you through how she goes about setting goals for herself and agents she works with. She does a great job on it. One of the things within the video that it shares that I really like, Gary Keller says, who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. So this is where he goes into, sometimes our goals aren't big enough. And if our goals are too small or too abstract, that has a direct relation on what we do every day, right? Another thing is, he says, we underestimate where we can get to in 5 years. And and we grossly overestimate at times what we can do within a year when we're procrastinating. Okay. All right. So let's first go to this. On page 3 in the participant guide, I have one here for you, Connor, if you'd like to use it. So on page 3, let's just take inventory real quick on where we are with these areas. Now, the way this is set up, I'm going to pull this up on the screen in a moment. Actually, let me do it right now. The way this is set up is we have these 5 quadrants on the outside, okay? This goes into different areas of life. I mean, I have goals when it comes to relationships. I have goals when it comes to wealth and income, horizontal income streams. I have goals where it comes to vacation and where I want to go. That's one of the funnest parts every morning when I envision what I'm doing for the year. One of those activities is I go through a vacation we're going to take and what we're experiencing together. So I'll just tell you guys, like for us, that vacation for us is I haven't been to Africa yet. So I think I shared this with one of you guys before, but we're going to be going to Africa on a safari and doing all that stuff. I've envisioned the hot air balloon and all that stuff. So it's absolutely important that you get very specific about each of these areas. The reason I say this is if I'm not specific enough about what is a must for me this year, I'm not going to have a dollar amount. What that means is, let's say, I use houses a lot. Like a lot of agents have the goal of purchasing their own home or an investment property, vacation property, whatever that might be. And of course, we're in the business, so we think of owning another home, owning more real estate. So with that, it's if I just say I want a nice home, it's going to be really hard for me to assign a dollar amount to it. I don't know the down payment needed. I don't know how much I need to earn. I don't know what my debt to income ratio needs to be. I have no idea what the home costs. So how can I set up a goal around that? So I want you guys to take a minute, and for you guys in Zoom, Mindy, I'd like you to take a minute, and I'd like you to start writing down. You don't have to fill out each of these areas, but write down the most important things for you guys this year. You can either do it on a calendar year based on by December, or you can do it by this time next year. But let's just start working through that activity, and I'd like you to take a couple minutes and get specific around something that's important to you this year. Can I ask if you can mute yourself? Let's see. Let me see if I can do it for you. Cool. Just for now.
Chris, are these life goals or 1 year goals? Or?
1 year. How you guys doing? You need another minute? What?
You know the agent? He's like, I'm open to offers for review. He answered none of my questions.
Okay, which is fine. We'll talk about it. Okay. Maybe that's in one of your rectangles. Get this deal under contract.
Right?
So, okay, just so I can move into other areas here. I want to hear from you guys. Like, it's important once you write the goal down, our chances of achieving it obviously go up dramatically. I'm not sure if you've read or heard of these studies, but actually if you share it with someone after that, your chances increase once again in compound fashion. So let's hear, I'd like to hear some of your goals this year. Who wants to go first?
I think like, I don't know about you guys, but I live in a pretty like shitty apartment, you know? So I'm thinking like next year just have like coming home somewhere that's like nicer
Yeah.
than this year was.
Yeah,
Because I think that will make me happy, you know? So
awesome.
like, if I'm still renting next year, like finding somewhere that like I can afford but is nicer.
Okay. So I love it. Going
Yeah.
with that, where would it be that you'd be renting, leasing, or you'd own? What do
I
you think?
think still in Salt Lake, but somewhere like closer to here.
Okay.
A little bit, and just like, I've seen like apartments around, you know,
Uh-huh.
that are really nice and like, that have like nice amenities and things like that. And I think,
So what kind of amenities?
like a gym in your apartment complex, or like, just more space
Hmm.
and really clean and like nice windows and things like that.
So
That's
how?
my place.
Oh yeah. So you guys should room together. So what? How many bedrooms? Like, really break it down for me. Like, let's say you leave work.
Yeah,
You finish an appointment you're really excited about. You're going to do a CMA at home.
yeah.
You're getting home, say like 7 o'clock after your appointment. What does it look like? Where are you going home to?
I think like somewhere with like big open windows and 2 bedrooms, one for my boyfriend and I, and then one that can be used as like an office space
Mm.
kind of thing. And like a little cat by the door waiting, and just like a nice open clean space.
Awesome. I'm remembering now the cat on your vision board.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, so can you tell once you're talking about it, and I'm asking you questions around
Yeah.
it, like what are your thoughts or emotions around it?
It makes me excited.
Does it feel possible when you talk about it?
Mhm.
Good. In addition to that, we can start to look at, this is the amount that I would pay per month for a place like that. So I'd really recommend tour some apartment communities or condos that you can rent. Look online for it. There's a specific amount of time I take every morning that I'll look at this stuff, and I'll look at flights and stuff like that just to make it real. So that's great. Awesome. So that again can go in one of those quadrants, and it's just, if you even put in an address, like
Mhm.
what that looks like. Perfect. What about the rest of you guys? Okay.
One is, I want to reestablish the rainy day fund. Sticking into it right now,
Okay.
but Within 3 to 6 months, like rent's paid, payments are made, and probably the first thing I do when first sale is pay out 3 to 4 months of my rent.
Awesome.
And so I don't worry about it.
Awesome. Awesome. So looking at living expenses, everything else, that rainy day fund for, and that's one of the first steps in building wealth is building out 6 months, right? Or 3 to 6 months of funds there. So do you have a very clear amount of exactly what that is? You don't have to share it with us, but awesome.
Yeah, we do.
Good.
And then another one is I would add more money into the stock market after you step 2.
Okay.
Just invest.
And do you know specifically like what investments you want to get involved in? Long-term, short-term, aggressive? Cool. Awesome. Good. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but yeah, thank you.
I'm saving up for a home, preferably a duplex. It doesn't matter if I need to like show it some love and fix up some things, remodel it. But I've been looking at duplex prices and how competitive they are.
Good.
And I can live in half of it, the other half, and go from there.
Excellent.
And sacrifice a few years living in a small space.
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it.
Awesome.
So I'm just saying, and if that doesn't happen, then I want a home that has like a separate like basement apartment. It doesn't have to have a separate entrance because I have someone that would want to move in with me. So
Good.
I'm
Have
just
you?
saving up for that?
Yeah. Have you looked into, I mean, purchasing these properties? A lot of times, traditionally, we think I need to be pre-approved for the entire dollar amount, but if I can look at previous rents and if there are tenants that currently live there,
Yeah,
it could be ready a lot sooner than you think.
yeah. I just need to be able to qualify right now. I do not qualify.
Okay. Okay.
So working unqualified.
Great. Great. So having an idea of a specific dollar amount, I'm going to pull home every month to show consistent income.
Mhm.
Can also be structuring my business in a way taxation wise,
Mhm.
where it shows how I'm having this consistent amount that I'm paying myself month after month, right?
Especially with what we do.
Awesome.
Really
Yes.
important to do that.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. I'd really, and the exercise I like to do rather than even looking at this first is, I believe what I've told each of you guys is just take pen to paper and almost do it as like a story, like write a story of what your year looks like and just get specific. And there are going to be things that you begin to write down that you never had thought of in the past, but because you're doing the exercise, you start to think of this. Then you look at each of those items and you say, how important is it to me that I accomplish it this year? Some of these items you'll actually see like, oh, it's actually not that big of a deal. I just wrote it down. I'm fine with where I'm at in this area. But others that may be something new you're writing down, you're going to say, oh, wow, I haven't thought of this before, but it brings a huge smile to your face. And you absolutely want to make it happen, right? So you have to have, you literally have to do this. You have to have a dollar amount here in the center. You total those up. What do I need to net to have that? Obviously, one of these areas can be living expenses, where I live comfortably. I used to always, and I'm not sure if you guys have been in that boat, where I just work as hard as I can. Hopefully, I make enough money to meet my expenses that I don't know exactly where it's at month after month, but I just hope I have enough. And every now and again, if I have more than enough, I say, great, it's my money to spend. And then I do something frivolous and stupid. And then all of a sudden, maybe I need new tires or something else hits me, right? So it's absolutely important that you work out not only the things you would like to accomplish within the year, but what is your monthly living expenses and where you feel comfortable. I mean, we all know, or at least I do, I know what life is like when I would be headed to my job and I literally in my car had like my breakfast was a jar of peanut butter and like carrots or apples or crackers. And I would like eat on the way to work just to fill myself up and be able to get through till lunch when I got like a free meal or something, right? So make sure you work out what type of life do I want to live expenses wise, where I'm not just making enough, but enough isn't even in the picture. You guys know what I mean by that? Okay, good. So if it's important to me that I take a weekend when I want and go to Park City for the weekend or go skiing or whatever it is, like how am I working that into my plan? Cost of living, okay? When you do this, even without putting a plan together, you're gonna start to feel right away if I am working with the level of intensity that matches that type of living. I also want to tell you guys, and I'm just sharing this off the cusp here, but when we're working towards our plan, there's that first phase in which we're uncomfortable and we're literally running 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? But it's in order to build momentum. So what I mean by that is you will be having, let's say, I hear so many examples around working out or something, but if I want to get back in shape and maybe I haven't gone to the gym in a very long time, it's going to take me a while to get back there. And it's going to be a pretty abrupt change to my lifestyle, right? Like I'm going to have to put in 2 hours at the gym every other day, or increase my diet or improve my diet this much in the very beginning. And it can almost be a shock to the system at times, but it doesn't mean I have to maintain that same level of intensity. At some point, my body responds to it and I feel better and I have more energy, and maybe I only have to give 1 hour a day to the gym. Does that make sense? So if either our income, if our health, relationships, like if my relationship goes down the tube, I may have to invest a lot more time right now to get us back on track or to help us get back on track. It's in so many different facets of our life, but we just have to be willing to pay the price in the beginning and be in that kind of uncomfortable stage. We don't see results yet, but I'm still going to keep pushing super hard towards this. And trust me, once momentum starts, it gets easier. Okay. So with that, I know we worked through the same exercise, but if you look on, let's jump ahead to page 5. Actually, I'm going to show you guys a quick clip here of this video. Okay. And she's going to walk you through a little bit. Oh boy, did it go back to the very beginning? No, it didn't. Okay. Mindy, can you see behind my big head on the screen?
Yeah, I can. That's a little blurry, but it's because I'm old.
Think big. We act big, right? We hear that all the time at Keller Williams. Think big. And it's really important to understand that what you do and what you accomplish determines who you are. Businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. None of those things just happen, right? Setting goals that matter means doing the work that matters. And when work matters, we tend to do more of it. When you love what you do more. Or when you're getting out of what you do, what you want, you're going to want to keep doing it.
Okay, so that's it. I want to make sure I say this. I said it this morning at our 8:30 deal. Work is not always going to be fun. And I shared that phrase that I think is like the freshman in college phrase. I've got to figure out what my major is, because if I love what I do, I'm never going to work a day in my life. That's not true. I'm sorry. You're going to work. There's going to be better days. There's going to be great days, bad days. But if I can attach that to the outcome that I want and I can see myself getting closer, it actually becomes fun. So, okay.
I want to keep doing it. So when we look at the graph, what else looks important about setting goals, setting and meeting those goals? Looks to me like there's a little bit of a time and effort at play in here, right? Right? I see some heads nodding. Yeah, we've got a lot of things that are important. And what's finite in our life? What's finite is time. So time is something that we all have to take advantage of in making sure that we prioritize what we're spending our time doing. Because if I spend all day long putting out fires that don't get me to the end goal of what I set out for myself to be doing that day or that week, I can go home and look my family in the face and say, I worked really hard. I can say I was busy all day, but did I really work hard? Did I get anything accomplished that I wanted to do in relation to my goals? And if I don't know what my goals are, how do I have any idea if I got them done or not, right? So clarity is power, as we all know, for those of you who attended Bold before. If you have not, it's a great class as well. So you'll get big outcomes from thinking small. And for those of you who are new to Keller Williams, you will hear this theme a lot. From Gary Keller all the way down to the team leaders in your market center, and talking to any rainmaker or top individual agent in your market center who's been doing this for a while. If you set small goals, as this slide shows, you will get small outcomes. So thinking big is something that takes some stretches us, something that maybe we don't feel comfortable doing. Otherwise, we're creating that artificial ceiling of achievement. I definitely participated in this limited thinking when I.
Okay, so I'm just going to go into this very quickly. What this represents to me right here is we're actually trending to not make changes. This is why we do weekly reviews. When I look at what I'm doing for the week and the month, I say, you know what? Whatever I'm doing right now is not producing the results I want. So these actions, it can mean doing more of the prospecting or lead generation. It can also mean, however, like I am getting into mastery mode. I am setting up a time with Chris twice a week where for 30 minutes we're on the phone and we're gonna like go at it on role playing within setting an appointment, right? We're gonna practice different personality styles and communication styles so I can become a more versatile communicator. I'm also gonna spend this much time every evening or going through scripts and recording myself and listening back to it. I'm gonna make sure in my car, I'm listening to the script over and over and refining it. That way, when we script at 8:30 or whatever time of day it is, that I am improving drastically, okay? So keep in mind actions, it's not always just doubling up what I'm doing. Many times it is, but it's one, doing the more relevant actions, the 20%, but it can also be improving skill set, okay? All right. So I'd also like to jump to, let's see. Let's go to page 5 in the participant guide. We've gone through this exercise before as a group, but before I show you in command one more time, inputting goals, this is one exercise you can do. This is going to be very similar to a spreadsheet I've done with you guys in the past, a shared Google sheet that I've done, but it really is just looking, now that I know what my net income goal is from that prior page, what is my average sales price? Keep in mind as a new agent, well, I'm gonna put this on you guys right now. What is the average sales price right now in Salt Lake County on the Wasatch? Yeah. Talk about an awesome. Is it a good time or not to be a listing agent? It's a good time to be a listing agent, right? So going into that, I was just being conservative. I put 400 in. And then from there, I put an average commission of $7,000. It also, as you calculate, keep in mind, this is geared kind of towards just the single agent. But here it also is, what is the cap? Capped at $15,000, royalty, 3,000. I put that in here. And then underneath, what is my net income goal? Just for example's sake, I put in 100,000. Underneath, it's just having me add company dollar and royalty cap. So that would be the 18,000. Business expenses underneath, it really is how you define it. Sometimes people calculate in their business expenses into their net income goal. I do recommend having a set amount outside of that. So whether it's $2,000 to $5,000, you can even calculate your realtor dues, which luckily you don't have to do the new member fee anymore. It's a lot better going forward. But what are your dues annually? You can also, if you want to calculate in, you can calculate in your, what is it, $28, $30 a month as a part of the market center, whether you do business or not. I would highly recommend calculating in cost to attend a seminar. This is precisely where my cost comes from. It's my growth initiative. So what am I doing to improve, develop my skill set? It can be meeting with an individual, or it can be going to a seminar, okay? So I put in like flights, like fee to sign up for the seminar, things like that. It'll then give me my total GCI, my total gross commission income based off of that. So business expenses, cap, and then my net income goal comes to 128,000. I then have my average commission of 7 grand, and I simply divide that into it to give me however many transactions I need. One thing I would recommend doing, there's the net income goal, but going along with the GCI, I would calculate at least 30% taxation. Okay. Because that's a large enough percentage. Just work in 30% taxation, and that's going to give you a bigger number you need to get to for your transactions, right? And put in the work, and whether you work with an accountant or another professional, knowing myself, I would never rely on myself. I've been there and it wasn't a good idea. But speak with someone, have a plan in place already. I was just saying to Dustin when I was meeting with him earlier today, there was a time when I made more in a year than I'd ever made before. It was awesome. I was really excited. But then tax time came around, and I hadn't been paying quarterly installments or anything. My accountant said, okay, this is the amount due. And I'm literally like falling out of my chair. And of course, the first time I made money like that, I'd spent a lot that year. And I said, well, what do I do now? And he's like, well, you pay it. I said, great. But then from there, he said, going forward, this is how you need to structure your year. This is what you need to do. I'd recommend having that conversation now, even though it doesn't feel like you'll be making at times 6 figures. You will, if you stick with it. Trust me, you will. Plan that out now. The more effective our plan is, like, business will actually start to flow your direction also.
Even if you aren't like there yet, do it. Like massage therapy, I had a year that I had to pay so much.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the same structure.
Yeah.
And I didn't make 6 figures there,
Mm-hmm.
but still do it, even if it's a small amount.
Yeah. We go through another class around building wealth and looking at our income goals differently than what I'd mentioned before. It's just working hard. Hopefully I make a lot of money, and whatever I have left over after expenses. It's instead almost coming from a zero-based budget approach where I factor in how much I will be making, but I know precisely every single category or area that money will go to. So in the very beginning, I can actually know what amount I can profit from, but I've already allocated those other expenses. Makes us work differently, very much so. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So from there, you absolutely must break down your goal. And this goes into another page that I'd like to share with you guys. This is on, I wonder if I actually gave it to one of you or something on accident. But one of these pages, it goes through what's called the 411. Maybe I gave you one of mine where I like pre-filled one out a little bit, but you're welcome to use it. Yeah. Okay, so the 411, this particular one, it's not just it's on page 7. Now, this is found within the book by Gary Keller, The One Thing, and it's something that Keller Williams uses quite often. Do you not have a page 7? Oh, cool. Okay.
I did this already.
Good. Yeah, a few of you may have, but the 411 specifically, you'll see on the left side, it's your professional 411, and then on the right, it's personal. I like having the personal side to it because a lot of times we make it so much business oriented. We know within our company, it's all driving a big life, right? And we understand that. So annual goals, I'd recommend in your own time going through this. Now, let me break this down and give you a couple of examples, okay? So within my annual goals professionally, let's say I factored through within my own plan that I'm going to do 24 transactions this year, okay? So within those 24 transactions, that then obviously breaks down, if I divide 12 into it, that's 2 transactions a month, right? And then on a weekly basis, what is going to drive those 2 transactions a month? So it's taking the same approach that we have in other areas, but it's taking it in multiple areas, and it's giving clarity on a weekly basis. Then from there, when I say, okay, in order to have 2 transactions a month, I need to connect to it these many conversations a week or these many appointments. I'd recommend factoring in, like for every 3 appointments you go on is 1 closed deal. Every 3 to 4 appointments you go on is 1 closed deal. So from there, I can factor in, okay, if I went 2 per month, how many appointments is that? If I'm averaging 4 appointments for a closed deal, it's 8 appointments, at least a month, right? So if it's 8 appointments a month on a weekly basis, yeah. So I then work out like on a daily basis, what am I doing to drive those 2 appointments a week, right? And that can go in, are there any other professional goals you guys might have? What do you think? I know we talked about the big one, the net income or how many transactions, but what else may be a goal on an annual basis professionally?
I feel like growth in your expertise as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the knowledge, maybe like seminars, training,
Yep.
or things
Yep.
like that.
So that can easily be, for instance, it can be on the personal side also with the development. No, it can be both. So there's a real estate training, or I'm going to invest in coaching or whatever it is. And it's going to be either a MAPS coach, graduates, UHS, or whatever it is. And this is my goal. So making that happen, this is how I break it down into a monthly basis. What parameters do I need to be hitting to know I'm on track for that? And then down to a weekly basis, what do I need to be doing on a weekly basis? It could be putting so much money away towards a fund to go towards that seminar. But it's important we break that down to a weekly and daily basis. I like that. It's a good one. And yeah, on the personal side too, I have 1 or 2 of those seminars on the personal side. I'm hoping they start to do them in person again. That's important to me. Anything else that you guys have or would even like to share publicly that's important to you this year? And this can go into, you were talking about Dominique, but within one of your goals, it can be moving into this apartment community or condo community, right? And then what do I need to do leading up to that? Like, it could be like my week in review, you know, both personally and professionally. My own and I talked about this. Like, one thing that's interesting is we go so much. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves personally. So I know if I get a good night's rest and I'm refreshed the next day, that I'm a different person and I'm much more productive, right? And I'm getting through tasks faster. So personally, it could be like, you know, get this much sleep every night and then break down on a monthly basis, then on a weekly basis or daily basis. What is my routine?
Mhm.
You need to add like a spa day for you.
I know. Yeah, that we were talking about massage packages, like massage therapy packages. I was like, should you do it?
Yeah.
But yeah, and can you imagine like how this helps us? How does this help us work purposefully, right? Like, we now have these parameters that we're hitting every week. And this comes down to our whole conversation in the past. How do you define a successful day? I define a successful day doing the activities that are getting me to these places weekly, monthly, and annually, right?
Let's go. This is amazing.
Yeah.
You guys,
Can it,
I
oh,
love it.
thanks for the plug. Can I borrow it and I'll show it
Yeah,
to
I mean,
people in
it's pretty
Zoom?
sad right now, but
It's-
I'm progress.
Yeah, it is. So if you guys would like me to send this to you, maybe I can pull it up on the screen. Can you see this, Mindy? No?
No, I can't. It would have to be really close.
So I'm actually,
Where did you get that from? Sorry.
so
Like, you have this packet of papers. I don't know where they
this
came
is a
from.
personal coach I worked with
Okay.
when I was in production. She actually works with a lot of, well, it's Caprice Gunn. She works alongside Jonah Gamboa now on his team. So she coaches a lot of agents. In fact, I think Ashley Lindsay said that she is coaching with her when she did her class with us. But this is just one example of something that she shared with me to be able to track my day. Let me see if I can quickly pull it up here on the screen.
Have you emailed it to other people?
So either that or I asked you guys like who wanted it. A lot of times I'll do that just to make sure someone asks for it, because I know if they ask for it, they truly want to use it.
I truly want to use it and I'm currently asking for it.
Can you do that in an email form? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
Like, what do I have to do, Chris? Okay. All right. Personally, for me, I like to write things down through the day. So when I write it down, it's just something in the act of doing it. So here we go. Better, Mindy?
Yeah.
So this was at a time for me. So I kind of used this the way that benefited me the most. And I'll walk you through what that looked like in a moment, but choose how this will help you. This has multiple quadrants you can use to look at your day. For me, it came at a time, and she introduced it to me when I was super frustrated that I was incredibly busy, but I was not accomplishing the things on my 411. And I didn't feel closer. I think you guys can relate to me in some areas with that. We all go through it. I have a high level of workload, but my level of efficiency is very low. So where she introduced this to me was on a half-hour basis. This was painful, you guys. This is really hard to do because I don't like to stop what I'm doing and write something down every half hour. But she, being Caprice, she did a great job. My coach, she was pushing me to do it. So I wrote down every half hour the type of activities I was doing. So literally it would be like emailed so-and-so, send another email to so-and-so, and then called this person, follow up this person, this person, this person. When I reviewed my day, I think I shared this with you guys before, I was absolutely shook, like how much time I was putting into activities that were not driving the things forward that were important to me. At that time I said, no, I can't do that anymore. So I started to leverage more effectively to other individuals. And I'll be honest, there are things that just went off my calendar. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm only devoting an hour to this, being on a board of this organization now on a daily basis. I remember that year I was president of this organization. It was just like driving me insane, right? It forced me to work differently and work less in those areas. The other thing I did was when I made calls, which were very important to me, I did 1/ within my contact goal. And then if I got a hold of them and I had a conversation, I did another / to make it an X. And I'd be able to track, just like I think my own starting to do that here. Great.
I just put a dot. Just put a
Awesome.
line at the top.
Awesome.
Conversation.
Yeah, so give her a break. I don't know if you can see this, but she did like this / here.
Yeah.
However, she was working through the day. This is something I really liked. It gave me the points of rhythm. So it's called the 61 points of rhythm. Okay. This is making sure it's another way to guide you to do the right activities or to have intention behind what you were doing and be more purposeful. So you can see you're trying to get to 61 points, which I'm telling you guys is like near impossible. It was very hard. I got to like 25 and 30 and I felt really good about myself.
You can do all those in one day.
Yeah, one day. Yeah. You don't have to do all of them, but it's telling you how many points you get for accomplishing that task, right? I actually, because of the type of business I was building, I changed a couple of these line items to meet what was important to me to accomplish, right? However, like writing up an offer to get 10 points, it's pretty cool that in buyer agreement, 10 points, listing appointment, 10 points, open house, like I may put less for that one. But yeah, so I built this out where I had like basically Chris's points of rhythm that we worked through. And it forced me to say like, man, calls just aren't getting it done. I've got to get more people all at once. So that forced me to think along lines of like, how do I do an event and get more people there where I only get 2 hours of my time, but it's led to how many conversations and potential offers But it just forced me to think differently. And then lastly, so to be honest with you, I kind of didn't, this is prospecting times, which would be excellent for you guys, like time in, time out when you stop prospecting or lead generating. But, and then you can give your totals there on the bottom. Lender appointments set. I don't know why that's there, because I think I could throw a rock and get a lender to meet with me. Or like I could say, you know, clean my house and I'll meet with you, and they'd probably clean my house, you know? So it's pretty easy to set that. But I love this, having something at the end of the day where you track how your day was, right? That is on the spreadsheet I sent out. If you do want to use it, you can. But again, I like having things written out. And whoever's willing to step into accountability with this, we can definitely work up, you know, the reward or pain threshold, whatever it is that's going to drive you guys. But I had to turn in the day prior to my meeting, all 5 of those sheets for the week. Right? So, but I can tell you it most definitely changed things for me. Lastly, so like I said, I wasn't exactly doing the right side as much as like these 2 areas and the calls at the top, but I made sure I did no more than 3 things that were most important for the day. I didn't have 5 things. I didn't have 8 things. It was only 3, no more than 3. If it's 2, it would be those things. I don't want anything else distracting me from my 20% that had to get done. So of course, being a newer agent, it may look like so many conversations today, right? Then I cross it off. 1 appointment today, whatever that is, okay? Any questions about this so far? So I will get it to you.
Good question.
Yeah.
So for activity tracker, like for the times, is that like you write what you're supposed to do during that time and then you do it, or you write it after you've done the thing that you said you would do during that time? Like,
this is a mirror image of what you're doing with your time. So we all have an idea of what we should be doing. We hear the should word a lot now, right? Like, oh, if only we're more disciplined or things like that. This is predominantly for me where it helped me was where I thought I knew I was very busy, but I wasn't getting a whole hell of a lot done. So I would literally write down exactly what happened from 8:30 to 9.
What happened? Okay, because I didn't know if it was like, I want to make calls from 7:30 to 8.
Yeah.
Make calls, or is it like I write down what I did actually do during that?
I recommend on your calendar, that's where you're going to time block. And I've talked about this with a couple of you guys, but don't just say on your calendar, lead generation this time to this time.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do like 9 to 10 is this type of lead generation.
Yeah.
Like, and if you introduce, I don't recommend jumping around too much because you're not building skill set as much. So maybe give at least an hour to that area of lead generation. And then whatever the secondary area is, you can put that in from 10 to 11:30 if you want. So that's where we get very specific around that activity is. This is where we're reconciling exactly what we did. So much the same as your weekly review on our site that I'd shown you earlier is it's almost essentially this, but it's just evaluating your week, right? So once you put that in, you're like, really? I was so busy this week. Did I really only go to these many script things? Did I really only do this? And then it forces you to think, how do I become more resourceful next week with my time to build it out? If I say like, I can't make it to scripting Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30. So that means I'm now going to change things up and talk to people in our group or in our market center about forming my own scripting group, you know, Tuesday and Thursday at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, right? Right. Great question. Any other questions? But that's where it's painful because I literally have to stop what I'm doing. Fine, and I write down like what it was.
And that's cool because you have to write down what you did. Like if you didn't do it, you have to write down that you didn't do it.
And then I can't tell you enough how many times I was like, I really don't want to write this down because my coach is going to see it, right? I really don't want to write down that I went to this because I didn't have food for lunch. I went grocery shopping, you know, but I got food for the week, so it's good. So and I knew there would be there's no coming back from that. She'd be like, okay, so you left during lead generation. to go grocery shopping. Oh, I have to write that in, right?
Yeah.
But it's more important for you where you're able to look back on it and say like, I thought I was being disciplined. Maybe I'm not as disciplined as I thought. Or, no, I'm doing a heck of a lot better than I thought I was doing, and just stick with it. It's going to happen. Okay, and let's see, what time are we at here? With me. Okay, so we're at 2 o'clock. Who have you guys all gone into Command and put your annual goals in there? Great. Okay, awesome. So remember, as you're doing your annual goals, and as we have here on that page I've shared with you guys, I like to record and write down on a daily basis how I'm performing and review what that looks like. At the end of the week, ideally I should have these 5 pages to be able to like reconcile them, add it up, put it into my week in review. I look at that, and then that's where I may use other individuals myself, set up accountability partners in our own group, you know, if they're like-minded with you and they have the same time and they're giving the same amount of effort to this. And then from there, that's when you put it out to others around you to make sure that you're getting out of your own way. It's the best way I can put it. I'll just leave this with you guys, and I know I keep giving like all these like quotes and isms and things you've heard before, but success does not, and I had to learn this myself. I thought I was giving everything to the business. I was working hard, but my mind was running into the same problems. And I talked about that earlier today. If you're in a place where you're having, and I'm there too in different areas of my life, but if you're in a place where you're having the same problems year after year, week after week, month after month, until you do things differently, things aren't going to change. And that all starts with the way we think. And that starts with clicking into these tools to change the way we think, right? So we can set intentions all day long. We can hope for things to get better. We can want things to get better. But until we learn to think differently, things really don't change. But however, when we think differently, like our capability, our abilities to get through these issues and problems, like increases. Like, I'll just say this, in certain aspects of our lives, based on different areas of our life, wealth, relationships, like vacations, legacy, I don't know, spirituality, whatever it is, like in certain areas of my life, if I'm encountering the same stuff, it means I haven't spent enough time in it. It means I haven't thought differently around it, right? So goals are the first step to start that off, and the way in which we set them, writing them down, sharing it with others, okay? All right, that's all I got today. Any questions or thoughts before we wrap up? Okay, get some food, guys. Okay, all right, you got it.
I emailed you about it.
Oh, good. Thanks. You did that too. Thanks. See you, Mindy.